there is going to be blood in the streets and breadlines around the corner. We have been talking about a forthcoming market crash on this channel since the beginning of the year. And I'm just seeing like all of this kind of taking place. I'm seeing a whole bunch of like geopolitical situations, inflation, what I see personally in my life when people like buying and selling, all these kinds of things. And I'm going to try to link them all together and tell you my thoughts, just one man's point of view, not financial advice, on where I think the market is going, why I think it's going to get there, how all of these situations tie together, and what you and I, most importantly, can do about it. Okay, this is going to just be you and me kind of talking and about the market, the state of the world, and trying to really synthesize a formulative line of thought here. And whether or not you agree with me, I think it'd be best for you to listen to these so that you could flesh out and hammer out those thoughts of yours yourself. Look, my name is Aaron. I'm just a lizard brain cowboy exploring the wild west of cryptocurrency, trying to get to my next Bitcoin. So I think of things very simply. If you want to roll with me and the Cowboys, hit the subscribe button down below. Everything's very simply. And here's the thing. When we're thinking about the future market, right, whether it's going to go up or it's going down, where it's a good time to invest or play it safe, we have to think of this question: will things get better? Okay, geopolitically, economically, will things get better or will things get worse? And if we think things will get better, like this Russia crisis, if we think things are going to get better, well then we can safely assume for a large, a large bell curve majority, like that the markets will go up. Okay, that the markets will. If we think things will get worse, well, that makes sense that the markets will go down. And we're going to take different instances and say, we're going to play this game. Is it going to get better or is it going to get worse? And I'm going to take the stance already off the gate that it is going to get worse. I've said this at the top of the year, beginning of the year, and I've said this now, blood in the streets, breadlines in the corner. This is not FUD. This is just for you to agree with me or disagree with me and let me know. Okay, so let's start with the big news. Stocks are falling amid tensions between Russia and Ukraine. Okay, so here's the first thing. Putin just started. Russia just started. They just started invading. This was the day after the Olympics. They were waiting for the Olympics to be over, and because they didn't want to hurt ties with their new ally China, and so they're trying to strengthen those ties. They don't want to do anything that would cause like a stir over there. So they're invading Ukraine, and they've invaded Ukraine with Russia-friendly separatist type of areas, and so they're invading. Is this going to get better, or is this going to get? Is Putin done? Is Putin done invading? Is he happy with the Russia friendly Ukraine cities? Or do you think he's going to keep on pushing till he gets what he wants? What does he want? I don't freaking know. I'm not Putin, right? I'm lizard brain, right? So how far will he push this? And is it over? That's the question to ask. Is this over? And I don't think so, right? Because we're looking at oil prices at 7-year highs after Russia moves the troops to Ukraine. You should know this, that Russia is one of the biggest exporters of oil in that part of the world. They provide 35% of their oil to Europe, and that all stops. Like there's sanctions, and this is Nord Stream 2. That's a pipeline. Nord Stream 1 runs through Germany, runs through Ukraine itself. So Nord Stream 1, forget about it. Germany's already thinking of imposing sanctions on that. So there's this whole Russian thing, and how it bleeds over into oil, and how that scares investors into the market. And that's why the markets are tanking right now. Why? Because there's a lot of uncertainty with this kind of stuff. Next thing, inflation. Is inflation going to get worse or is it going to get better? Another U.S. inflation gauge is heading even higher. So people are thinking that inflation is going to get higher. It's going to get worse, even though it's at its 40-year high. The people think it's going to get worse. I do too. I think that inflation when inflation happens, that money hits the economy, and it first hits the economy. It takes time for it to weasel its way out, and how that looks like is rising prices. How that looks like is businesses not being able to. They're gonna have to raise their prices everywhere because the cost of goods are raising. Everything is rising up, and so that's what inflation is. And we see this spilled over into overvaluations into the stock markets, into real estate, into crypto, because everyone's got more money, or everyone's charging more. There's just more money circulating in the system. Does that mean you're richer? No, that just means your dollar's worth less, and that's why things are more expensive. So will inflation get worse or better? And I'm going to say worse. Next, China. What's China going to do? China would back Russia diplomatically if it moved on Ukraine, which it already has. This is written the February 19. But yeah, so analysis is that China will back Russia. Like, what is this doing? Like, what does this mean for markets? What does this mean for the safety of people there? First of all, if the safety of people there are threatened, then they're not thinking about investing. Like, a whole countries are worried about like what's actually happening when there's a tank rolling up on your house. You know what I'm saying? So that it's crazy. Another thing, the Fed hasn't even started yet. It's not even March. Right now it's February 23. The Fed hasn't even started combating inflation yet. They're still printing money. It's February 23. They're still printing money. When they start to fight inflation, they're looking to increase by points, typically 0.25, but a lot of people think it's going to be a 0.5 increase. What's it going to do for the markets there? It's going to be a shock. It's going to be like, oh, this is worse than we thought. You know what I'm saying? Like, especially with all these geopolitical things that Biden's having to deal with. Next, the Fed's battle to fight inflation could cause more pain. I mean, obviously, this is going to cause more pain into the market. Next, corporate pricing is boosting inflation, but we're still buying. This is February 20. People or these businesses, they're still showing that this buying frenzy is still very alive, very high. Personally, anecdotally, I've told multiple stories in multiple of my videos. I'm watching my friends going out and buying a whole bunch of stuff. Buying houses, honestly, they're like, a lot of my other friends are extending themselves really far. It's like, what is happening? And it's just, I'm sitting at a pause. I see like friends at my level continually buying, and I like to call this new money. And then like my older friend, maybe 10, 15, 20 years ahead of me, I like to have, meals with them and talk with them and stuff. They're constricting. They're not buying anything right now. And it's very curious to see how the market's reacting right now, because when people get new money, they start to feel good about themselves. They start to buy stuff. So the buying frenzy is still very much alive. Okay. So housing markets, like I said, even though the prices are going, housing market's going up. I'm in Florida, so it's particularly high because everyone wants to come to Florida. It's just insane. Next one, government distrust. Like there's these COVID vaccine mandates and stuff like that. Canada's trying to freeze bank accounts. First of all, there's government distrust because people are tired of being mandated for things that they don't want to do. We've over the course of the last 2 years, we have let our liberties slip. I mean, I don't know where you are in the world, but everyone in the world has given up certain freedoms, certain liberties for the sake of safety. Now we're trying to get that back. Now we're trying to remove that from the government, and some of the governments don't like that, and so they're freezing bank accounts. Well, that causes uncertainty in those. So with these truckers protesting, what does that do for commerce? What does that do for shipping? You know what I'm saying? Like, these are all bad things for markets, especially in the Canadian market. I've got my notes here, right? German parties agree relief household for energy prices source. So this is more to the effect of where like all that oil is being stopped. Maybe there's sanctions on Russia. Maybe the Ukraine. They can't. What are they? They're not thinking about shipping out oil when they got tanks running up in their living room. Look, here's what I know. Uncertainty is not a friend of the market. Okay, when times are stable and times are good, people run into risky moves. But when times are risky and times are uncertain, people run into the most stable assets, into stable moves. And I think that's what we need to do. There's a whole bunch of uncertainty. To me, I'm certain that it's going to be bad, but the uncertainty is how bad will it be? That's the real uncertainty. I think everyone in the world, I think if you just lay out this list and lay out the situations, this is just the situation, I think everyone can kind of accept that things are going to get bad. Things are going to get worse. The uncertainty comes in how bad they are. Ukraine is the number 3 exporter of corn in the world. You know what we use corn for? Plastic. batteries, diapers. We use corn in everything. What does that do for those prices? The number 3 exporter of corn in the world is constricted, is dealing with a war. What happens then? What happens when Russia, the number 1 provider of wheat in the world, slowly withdraws that wheat? What happens to prices? Flour, food, of everything. It's crazy. It's absolutely grain. Not only Ukraine and Russia are big exporters of grain, but so is Romania and Kazakhstan. And of course the oil, like the energy markets. Not just the energy markets, but you're looking at BP, you're looking at Shell. Those are European, but Exxon is an American one. LNG and Gazprom. Nord Stream 1, those pipelines. Nord Stream 2, those big exports of oil. This raises the energy market. Okay, so this is the landscape, the geopolitical, financial, economic landscape of the world right now. And there's probably many more. What are you and I supposed to do about it? I sold most of my assets. I'm literally sitting on just a whole bunch of stablecoin. I think for me, the best move to right now do is stake. Stake and wait. Let me stake my money. Let me wait for this dip. I think I'm going to buy in at a like $25,000 Bitcoin, somewhere around there. I want to get into more Bitcoin. All these, to me, in crypto, you know me, I'm in crypto. There's only 2 types of crypto. There's Bitcoin and there's crypto. There's Bitcoin and there's everything else. That's why we call it altcoins. Everything else is an altcoin. Bitcoin, to me, is the most stable asset. To me, getting into Bitcoin is getting into sound money that no one can mess with. That is the largest monetary network that people have bought in. When I say monetary network, I mean that people have thrown their money in. That have it's like the number 10 market cap in the world, somewhere around there. It's like a tenth of gold. In times of uncertainty, we need to run into things that have certainty, run into things that have stability, run into things that can't be messed with, right? So people run into bonds or people run into real estate. Well, those are getting messed up right now. You and I think, especially in this government, especially the government thing, that one really messed with me. I don't like the government stepping in and messing with my money. I don't like that. I like to be in stable. I have a family to provide for. I'm not in the position to play super risky assets. I'm not in a position to run my money up into Dogecoin. Shiba Inu and Dogecoin are like in the top 15 market caps of cryptocurrencies. Like, that's overvalued. It really is. It really is. So for me, my play is getting into cash, staking it as stablecoin. Sorry, not cash. Getting into stablecoin, staking it, making rewards, probably 8%. I'm thinking about stuff with my house. I'm thinking about stuff. I mean, I just want to get into as much cash as possible. That is the goal right now for me. Whatever, any project that I'm buying into is just to get more cash. Anything that just more cash. Why? To get into more Bitcoin as the most stable asset for me. I don't know. What is it for you? What do you think, cowboy? Let me know in the comments below. Lizard Brain, keep it simple. Okay, it's crazy times right now. Best of luck. Cowboys ride together. I'll see you in the next video.